Hello everybody and welcome back to the Kingdom Hearts 3 playthrough extras. We have finished all of the gameplay. Well, technically the next part's got a little bit more gameplay, but all of the sort of actual gameplay of that I have to offer you guys. So this particular part is what I like to call the Gummiphone part. We're basically going over and looking at all of the things that we've managed to sort of achieve over the course of this playthrough. So having a look at all of the Gummy missions, I'm pretty sure that this is what I did. I came back to it after I'd gone through and, you know, slaughtered a ridiculous number of Heartless. Oh no, I hadn't quite done that yet. Never mind. See, that's the only one that I had missed, and then obviously the special weapon extra one, and then the final one. But I went back and did them anyway. So, in terms of normal playing, normal aiming for completion, that was sort of what I managed to achieve. So, going the extra mile doesn't take that long afterwards if you just sort of play the main stretch of the game. And yeah, they're just all of the treasures and everything. Some people might look at a part like this and just go, seriously? But you know what? This is a tradition for me at this point. I've done so many of these sort of menu parts, as I suppose you could call them, that honestly, it would just feel wrong to do my final playthrough, my final solo playthrough, without them. So, gonna has to be here, you know. So, yes, as you can see, by the time I finished this game, I was level 61. Donald was 62, Goofy was 62, and just all utterly delightful. And, you know, since we're here, we might as well go through all of the photos that I've taken over the course of the game. Even though I deleted some, I didn't delete that many. And most of the ones I deleted were a little bit rubbish, or just lucky emblems, which you're going to get to see anyway. But I do like the photo element of the Gummiphone. It is just a lot of fun, and I know that you can get some really, really good shots with them. I mean, I love that one of Donald next to the lucky emblem. It's great. Also, some of my lucky emblem shots are hilarious, and I love them as well. And yeah, at that point I was just like, let's just sort of go look at the ones that aren't solely lucky emblem or constellations, because like, really, nobody cares. I mean, that one, love that shot. Any others that I'm particularly fond of? Come on, give me some good ones. I mean, I do think that one's quite a nicely compositioned shot. Not necessarily 100% perfect, because normally you do rule of thirds, and that's quite central. But still, I do think that one's quite nice. That one's also quite fun. That's like a normal selfie type photo. That's the type of thing I'd do, to be fair. But I think that, yeah, that's it. That's all of the 100 photos. Well, more than them. But now, you know, we're actually going to have a look at where all of those lucky emblems are. If, you know, you were struggling to find them, you haven't followed through the playthrough, etc., you just want a quick snapshot of where these things are, this is what you're sort of looking for. Obviously, I would just say use an actual guide. Video guides are sometimes really difficult to follow unless you're doing exactly what the person does, and honestly, while it can be helpful at times, just a really well done word and image guide, absolute godsend. And I don't know what I'd do without them sometimes, because you just like, trying to follow along something, or just the pure word ones, where you're just like, you've said something and I'm not sure that makes sense. I remember when I was playing Kingdom Hearts 1, and it was just like, jump on the faucet. And I was just like, what the hell is a faucet? Largely because, you've got to remember that I wasn't exactly old at that point. I mean, I wasn't, like, at the point where I probably shouldn't know what a faucet is, but it's because up until that point, I'd only ever called them taps. I mean, to be fair, that's very much a UK thing versus Americanism, I think. We call the faucet a tap. I don't know why, but we do. And that just confused the hell out of me, but a picture of that would have been nice. Would have made sense of things, I suppose. Obviously, if you don't know what the hell was going on, you've got all of the story laid out for you there. Also got the glossary, in case, you don't understand any of the words that got kind of covered throughout the franchise and the game. I mean, particularly, you probably need to learn things like the Keyblade and Datascapes and the 3 realms and all that jazz. I mean, to be fair, what the hell were the 3 realms? Oh, Realm of Light, Realm of Darkness, and the Realm Between, of course, that makes sense. So yeah, helpful if you aren't sure about exactly what things are, but for anybody who's actually played the Kingdom Hearts franchise, really at this point you should know what most of these things are. But now for the slightly interesting bit, the secret reports. So, recollections. Am I alive? I awoke in a cell alone until the researchers came with their tests and their prodding to uncover my identity. I had no answer to offer them, 4 friends and a key. That is the sum total of my memory. I could not even recall my name. I was simply called X there. My only solace was the time I spent talking with the 2 boys who would visit from time to time. One day a man came to take me from the prison. I could not see him for the darkness, save that he wore an eye patch. Even now, years on, I feel no closer to understanding who or what I am. May my heart be my guiding key, unknown. Mark of Mastery Journal. Some days have passed since I set off on my journey to prepare for the Mark of Mastery examination. Eric has asked for leave to undertake the same pilgrimage, but apparently I am to be the first to tour the world written of in the old fairy tales. Until a few short years ago I'd known only my own world, a speck of land surrounded by sea, but how I dreamed of, yearned for the world beyond, and granted guidance from the future. I left that nest behind. As I treaded the path to my master's side, I came in contact with darkness in many forms. I knew even then, as by instinct, terrifying as its power was, it could be harnessed, mastered. Ericus is a blue blood, descended from the very first masters in the age of fairy tales, but I did not come this far to indulge in adulation. I would be his peer, his equal, and to do that I must learn to wield power born from both darkness and light in proper balance. Xehanort. Experiments of the Heart, notes on Subject X, Excerpt 1. Subject was found in the central square shortly after dawn. Female, approximately 15 years old. After 7 days' observation, she spoke her first words, but could not provide a name. Subject exhibits signs of profound amnesia, and displays concerns about which world this is. Her words suggest that she departed her home world with others, though she cannot recall the names of her erstwhile companions. All efforts to explore these memories have met with a rejection response. After his initial experiments on me, Ansem the Wise ceased his research into the heart. His hand stayed by some fear I cannot fathom. Yet this new subject is like me, devoid of memories. She is the perfect sample upon which to continue my master's work. She too could benefit from it. By traversing the heart, we have a direct path into memory. I myself have begun to reclaim my lost past thanks to these very experiments. Who is she? Whence has she come? These are the questions no scientist could ignore, and the words she muttered, may your heart be your guiding key. Obviously, what you're going to see on screen is further ahead than where I am in reading, but to be honest, I thought I gave myself enough time, but I clearly didn't, but it's okay. So, Secret Report 4, which is what you're seeing now, but hey. Notes on Subject X, Excerpt 2. Subject's memories have returned, and our conversations remain less than lucid. What fragments can be gleaned evoke a bygone world, like one out of fairy tales. As improbable as it seems, the question may not be where she come from, but when. If she truly has crossed through time, the prospect of probing her heart is all the more compelling. My pilot studies used a handful of subjects, but none possessed the fortitude to endure them. Ultimately, all suffered mental collapse. I knew it would be a heavy blow to lose a subject as unique as she. Upon discovering the tests I've been conducting, my master demanded that I cease my work immediately, and destroy what research I had compiled. Worse still, he ordered the release of my remaining subjects. She is gone. Where is Subject X now? Has wise Master Ansem hidden her away? Whatever the case, I will not be deterred. I will take her place as the first subject in the grand experiment to come. Memoirs, Excerpt 1. That castle was a wonderland to us children. Within its walls, Ansem the Wise conducted his research, and the fruits it bore allowed everyone outside to live in peace and happiness. That alone was enough to stoke our interest, though not all of the rumours that escaped its walls were so evident. By night, the muffled sounds of human wails emerged. There was talk of dangerous human experimentation. Lee and I couldn't help but had to plot to steal inside and sate our curiosity. The two who stood guard at the gates were researchers themselves, though you wouldn't think it to see them, massive and barrel-chested as they were. And slipping past that duo was only the first hurdle. It proved one not easily cleared. We were found and tossed out on our ears time and again. On the day we finally secured our entry, we descended the long spiral stair at the heart of the castle to find a dark space below it lined with cages. There wasn't light enough to see if they were inhabited, and we were in no position to call out to any occupants within, yet we could feel it. A definite presence there in the black. Terror washed over us, and we immediately regretted coming. But just as we turned to flee, we heard the faintest of voices. The urge to run was nigh overpowering, but someone or something beckoned us on. There, framed by tenuous silver light, we found her. Or sliver of light, we found her. Syax. Memoirs, Excerpt 2. It was too dim to make out her features. We spoke to her in hushed whispers. Who was she? Why was she imprisoned here? She had no answers for us, had no memories at all. She was an enigma. But I knew I wanted to help her, and so we continued our infiltrations. Most of them stopped short at the castle gates. When we did manage our way inside, we spoke with her. That was all the comfort two children like us could offer, but Lee had other ideas. He was determined to free her. We slipped into the castle that day, knowing only that we wanted with all our hearts to save her. But we did not find her inside on that day or the next, or on any of our subsequent visits. Had she been moved? Had we simply imagined her? Lee and I knew there was only one way to be certain, and so we stand before the castle gates today, not as trespassing children, but in order to become Ansem the Wise's newest apprentices. Syax. On the replica program and reanimation. Following my erasure and my recompletion as a human, I did not awaken right away. Perhaps the damage was exceptionally grave. Even after waking, I remained in bed, pondering my next course of action. In my work on the replica program for the organisation, I produced some 20 vessels. Most of the early results were failures, not one of them granted a number. The first success to emerge from that early lot was the Riku replica. Subsequently, Shion, number 1, was essentially indistinguishable from a natural human, though she became unstable due to the influence of others. Using those two as my foundation, I worked to construct a number of nigh-perfect replicas, but just as they neared completion, my efforts were cut short. I suspect Xehanort aims to use both the initial lot as well as the unused replicas from my later work. I arose today and decided to walk out to the square, my first outing in some time. Yet my stroll was interrupted when a surprising visitor appeared with an unexpected offer. Though younger than me, he'd risen to become Xemnas' right hand. I accepted his terms and became a nobody once more. Easy to gain access to the old replica program that way. Whatever it takes to atone. Vexen. The real organisation. Xehanort seeks to gather 12 vessels, which, together with his true actual self, he considers the real Organisation 13. Now that he has the numbers he needs, Demix and I are being treated as reserves. Several others who served Xemnas in the old organisation have followed the same course as mine, electing to abandon their newly restored humanity and rejoin the real organisation as nobodies, but not Xemnas. Xemnas cannot exist in the present because there is already a Xehanort here, the old man in charge. The old man's humanity prevents his heartless and nobody, others vanquished in the past, and his younger self from being denizens of this time. To circumvent this, Xehanort is using the prototype replicas I created in the past as containers, plucking his other selves' hearts from the time they existed. Xehanort ordered me to refine the prototypes to make them closer still to the real thing, perfecting my creation so they may house true flesh and blood human suits my own purposes as well. All that remains for my atonement is to devise a way to pass on as many of the vessels as I can to those who truly deserve them. Ansem Code Conspectus Excerpt 1. I have pored over the data my master entrusted to Riku. Here I offer my preliminary conclusions. Within Sora's heart are 3 compartmentalized boxes, each containing the heart of another. One box holds Roxas, another holds a second heart that has been with Sora nearly as long. The third has held its heart for much longer. These hearts have melded with Sora's and no longer have voices of their own. Any attempt to mechanically extract them could prove as dire for Sora as what caused him to become a Heartless in the first place. First, a vessel for each heart must be readied. Readied. How did I get that from readied? Bloody hell. Then, a spark of some sort is required to induce its waking. Obviously, the ideal solution is to restore each heart to its own body, but whatever the case for the 2 unknown individuals, Roxas possesses no such thing. The same is true for Naminé, we believe resides in Kairi's heart. Still, if alternate bodies can be secured for them, all their hearts require to be awakened is that spark, people they cared for and who cared for them, who can show them the way home. Complete and perfect digitalization of the heart is impossible. We can only hope to partially reconstruct it. Thus, I see no way forward but to extract the hearts we so desperately need directly from within Sora. Fortunately, the data stored in Twilight Town contains a near-perfect record of memories of those who lived there. And for Roxas and Naminé especially, this is crucial. Ansys Code Conspectus Excerpt 2. As for how to contain their hearts, the only conceivable option is the replicas. If we transfer in the digital memories from the Twilight Town archive, the replicas should be able to reconstruct each individual's human appearance with near-perfect results. Then their hearts need only the right spark to wake them, so they may find their way out of Sora and Kairi and into those newly made bodies. The replica program was truly revolutionary, but it was incomplete at the time of the old organisation's dissolution. Without Evan, how are we to further the research? We need at least 3 replicas, one for Roxas, one for Naminé, and one for the unknown stowaway within Sora's heart. These are difficult quandaries, but as I work through my master's data, I find myself remembering the taste of ice cream. When I was a boy, he would bring me some when we took walks together. There will be time to regret my betrayal later. For now, my focus must be on restoring Roxas and Naminé and proving my master had good intentions. Both of those last 2 were from the end, though. And then we have 3 observations, all of which I am pretty sure are Lushu or Zigbar. Observations Excerpt 1. I have seen it through. The Keyblade War unfolded exactly as written on the lost page. Now the Keyblade the Master entrusted to me must be bequeathed to another. 5 Union leaders have been chosen from the surviving Dandelions. I will pass the Keyblade to one of them, and then continue watching the future unfold. Yet, it seems that someone has pulled the old switcheroo. One of the 5 is an imposter. Someone the Master did not choose. They represent a virus in the program, so he so carefully wrote. The virus has begun a strange undertaking, a reckless plot to allow the 5 to escape into another world line. Surely such a thing can't be possible. We're talking about the same trick that allowed the Dandelions to transfer to other world lines after the Keyblade War. But these children are no masters. They haven't the means, unless, of course, a certain lady of magic summoned here from the future knows more than I do. The whole Union Leader thing was supposed to be by the books. Are these new events just another phase in the Master's grand plan? Excerpt 2. Even on a world line with no Keyblade War, peace is but a dream. In the absence of us and our master, a darkness arrived, one that shall surely lead the world to yet another demise. Amid the chaos, I bequeath my Keyblade to one of the Union leaders, just as the master instructed. I watched as the 5 were sent to another world line at no small cost, ensuring the line of Keyblade wielders will live on. And now Keybladeless, I must depart this land to fulfill my final task. This means casting my own body aside and sojourning my heart in vessel after vessel, as many as it takes, but I will continue gazing upon each passing era, one unto the next. In time, be it years or decades, centuries or millennia, I will meet the 5 once more. Somewhere in this cyclical history of bequeathings, a chosen one will appear and reenact the Keyblade War. When the scapegoat arrives and takes my Keyblade in a hand, that will be the time to take the stage and finish my role. The Lost Masters will awaken. Now, for the final excerpt. It seems this body, this name, will be my last. The lives I have lived over the ages could fill volumes, but for now, I must focus on what matters most. The Keyblade has been successfully passed down, generation to generation, and it seems a Keyblade Master devoted to the darkness may finally arise. Until now, I have watched over the course of events from a distance. Perhaps the time has come to intervene. I need only play the role of a fool desirous of the Keyblade's power. I will don the mask of his ally in order to keep watch over my Keyblade from close by. The Gazing Eye, a Keyblade forged from the eye of the Master of Masters. He passed it to me, as I have to others, and through it he can see the future, all that will ever come to pass. Spanning the ages in body after body, life after life, my task has been to keep vigil over the eye as it passes from hand to hand. It has been a long time, longer than I can express. But now at least the Keyblade War has begun, and Kingdom Hearts will open, a true and complete Kingdom Hearts, born of the clash between darkness and light. I will soon be reunited with my old companions, and in that moment, my long vigil will reach its end. He will return. And those are all of the secret reports. I mean, the implications in there. I mean, I think it's pretty clear that the mention of the glitch, the virus, effectively suggests that where Union Cross is at in its current narrative suggests that it is quite quickly reaching the conclusion whereby Luxu will return and bequeath his Keyblade to one of the Union leaders. Who that will be, God only knows. Where the franchise will go from Kingdom Hearts 3 and whatever happens in Union Cross, God only knows. But either way, I'm really, really excited to see where it all leads, because honestly, it could be absolutely anywhere. And in general, that is really, really exciting. And obviously, at the end of the day, there is pretty much, in my mind anyway, the expectation that whatever happens, Sora is always going to win. Good will always be victorious in at least some form, but it's still just going to be absolutely delightful, and I'm sure we'll continue to have a wonderful time with this franchise going forward, because it's so much fun. I mean, even looking at sort of all the models for the characters and this sort of stuff, this is sort of the moment of just going, yeah, I do a lot of these things. But I always just like getting that chance to pay more attention to the hard work of the people who worked on these games, because this is the type of stuff that doesn't normally get seen because people just don't look at it. Obviously, I've not gone through the effort of rotating the models. I do wish you could sort of zoom in on them, because they're all pretty high quality models, and it would be nice to see them all close up. But honestly, I'm not overly fussed with that or not. It's just a nice thing. And also, just seeing how many Heartless I've murdered over the game, always really, really satisfying. Apart from the times when you're just like, oh, that's not that many. If it's under 100 and it's not a boss, like, that's fine. It was a boss fight. I can live with one. But if it's not a boss fight and it's under 100, I'm just like, oh, I feel like I've let myself down. I mean, only 55 larger bodies? What is wrong with me? But also, I think that they did do a really good job on the designs of the enemies in this game, apart from maybe a couple. Mostly the new Unversed. They're a little bit disappointing. But everything else just looks really cool. And I really liked facing them all down. Also, this is the moment where, apart from a few enemies, I'm just like, oh, yeah, I had no idea what these bloody things were called. I keep forgetting what they're called. I call them the dandelion things rather than, like, Chief Puff. But I do also like the fact that they do give you hints at how to attack the enemies and sort of what their weaknesses are in these sorts of things where, you know, appropriate. Because it's just quite helpful. And I still think Catastrochorus is a great name for an enemy. It just sounds great. Also, part of me wishes that the Flans maybe had slightly different hairstyles. I know they've obviously got the different fruits in their crown, but different hairstyles might have been fun. Give one of them a pompadour, for the love of God. Like, they were just asking for a pompadour, like, come on. Yeah, it is at this moment where you just go, yeah, they really didn't include that many on Versed. Like, really did not include many at all. But I suppose it was one world's worth, so that's fine. But at least we also get to look at sort of all the toys that got taken over as well in the toy box. Including all of the different patchwork animals which look adorable when they're not possessed. And yeah, those things are still terrifying. But yeah, that's all of the adversaries. Obviously, we collected all 245 treasures throughout the entirety of the game. We have all of the recipes with an excellent ranking. I do wish that you could, you know, have a slightly closer look at these wonderful pieces of artwork of these meals, because they did all look really delicious. I would like to get, you know, a closer look at them. I think you can click on it and maybe get a slightly bigger one, but yeah, like, come on, like, they should have gone full pelt on the Final Fantasy 15 food porn. In fact, it's food porn, basically. But I feel like, yeah, they probably could have gone a bit further on that, because, like, my god, some of those things just, just beautiful. Then, this is obviously what I managed to synthesise throughout course of regular play, so it's not much, but still. And then obviously, just all of the game records, every single shotlock, every single attraction, every single link, every single mission of the Flantastic 7, and high scores in all of the minigames, Virum Rex Beat of Lead, Festival Dance, Frozen Slider, Flash Tracer, and 100 Acre Wood. And with all of that covered, next time we're going to return to see something that I may have missed. Well, not may have, definitely missed in the main playthrough. So, I shall see you then for the penultimate part of the Kingdom Hearts 3 playthrough extras.